Namaskar. Namaskar to everybody. Thank you for attending our program today. And this program, this is a preview about Kundalini KRIYA Yoga. And so I'll do my best to explain about what this course is. And then maybe in about 10-15 minutes time, if you have any questions, you can ask me. So I would also suggest that maybe you get a pen and a paper, and as I'm talking, if there's anything that comes to your mind, you can write down. Is that good? Now, this Kriya Yoga, let me explain to you what it means. Kundalini Kriya Yoga. Yoga, as you all know, is the path of understanding. It's a journey of understanding ourselves. So that's what yoga means. Huge means union of the lower with the higher. We all have a lower self, and that is what is normally exposed to from the beginning. But society has created many methods of giving humanity an opportunity to discover its higher mind, and that comes from education, from what we learn in the beginning of our life, what we learn from our parents, from our grandparents, from our elders, those good things and bad things both. But over a period of time, we want to go more towards the nature of goodness. We want to be better. This better means doing good things, helping ourselves to evolve, helping the people around us to evolve, societies to evolve, and to take care of each other in a very positive way. But this is a very challenging process, because as we know, in this world there is the good and the bad. Sometimes if you look around, and also in my communication with many people over, from the beginning of my life, as well as all of you know, that generally people would say that the world is bad, and they would say that the bad seems to be more successful. These are just generalized kind of thinking and saying. One of the reasons could be because that some people who are very daring, and they are daring enough to do anything in their power to attain success. So therefore we say that we talk about self-development, we talk about spirituality, religion, goodness, doing good, and this is the group that is growing very slowly. But the other group, which don't care about anything, anyone, about nature, about people, and just can grow very high, corruption, whatever it is, they're the ones who are earning billions, and that kind of concept is going on. But also the definition of success, I would also talk about this matter, and also the definition of success. When we look at only the material process, then we would think that success is only the money that you have. How much money do you have? How much assets you have, and not measuring what you have inside. How rich you are in your feeling, in your goodness, in the way you communicate, inspire, and develop others. This is very important. And this is not given much time or focus. And therefore, you find that the world seems to only worship this kind of progress. People look at the very successful multi-billionaires and take them as their icons, take them as their inspiration, put their photos in their rooms, and in schools, in colleges. Right from primary school, they always talk about those who have helicopters, who have private jets, and big mansions. But how many people actually talk about someone who has good qualities, someone who is helping society, who is helping the poor, the sick, and those who are misrepresented or underrepresented? very few have been looking at this group. But over the centuries and ages, what has survived and the stories that have survived, the personalities have survived, are not the ones who currently being worshipped as successful, those who are extremely rich and all that. Those who we speak about from the ancient past and who we will speak about, who people who will live in this world, who will speak about in the next 500 years, 1000 years, 5000 years, are those who have been able to bring quality in life. Those who have been able to change humanity to be a better tribe, people who are more caring, more loving. No, not those who are in a rush and hurry, competing to earn big money, big income, big projects. No, it's those who are able, who have served humanity. People like Gandhi, people like Mother Teresa. These people who, even in Malaysia, we have many people who do that. This is what history is remembering. These are the people history is remembering. So which means that in any form of training, both yourself and myself, what kind of training should we work towards? Of course, we have lots of skill building and becoming an efficient manager. Fine, there's nothing wrong with that. But does it enrich us from within? I can be very efficient in my work, in my paperwork, in my skills of doing work, business, admin, and all that. But what about my mind? What about my thinking? What about the quality of my thoughts? Is it changing? Is it becoming more progressive in attempting to understand what is the essence of my life here? Why am I here? If you tell me I'm here to be born and to study, go to primary school, study, and then go to secondary school and study, and then go to college and then study, and then after that go to work, and then after working get married and then have children, and then take care of the children, and then after that look at the children getting married, and then they have their grandchildren and then grow old and die. I think this is not very inspiring. But if we have clarity that there must be, if we have clarity, then that clarity moves us to a direction where there is something that has to be much more meaningful than this growing, working, and dying. Something must be more meaningful. Otherwise, this vessel is empty inside. Externally, seems to be, everything is very powerful and all whatever it is, but internally it's empty. But if you look at the other class of individuals who have worked on themselves, wanting to know, who am I? Why am I here? What is the meaning of this life? Getting clarity, getting understanding, even when they are within, spending time for themselves, they don't hanker for something which is sense-based. They have this steadiness. Yeah, I work, I take care of my family, society, I do my duty and responsibilities. But at the same time, there is a vast human resource that is within myself. I have to tap it. How many of us know how to tap that which is inside? We can read about it. So many books are that people are reading and reading and reading, but what about the practice of it? What is you read, and then what do you have from the reading which you can do to actually create a metamorphosis, a great change, an evolution? We can look everywhere in the world and we will always be directed. We will always, and I don't use this word always, never, and all that. I use it very sparingly, but right now I can tell you, always you would be directed to meditation. You would be directed to some form of practices of concentration. And the big word now is yoga. You would be directed to yoga. But the misunderstanding that we have in the world of yoga is that Yoga is being taught like an exercise, like a physical exercise for slimming, for toning, flexibility, balance. But the other component of yoga, which is hidden at the background of the physical arts, is the development of your potential. Through the physical art called Hatha Yoga comes the art of the intermediary to the mind. There is one medium that before you go to from the physical to the mind, you have the breath. Now, when we are able to harness the power of breath, it's called pranayama. Prana means the internal force, and ayama means expansion of the internal force. How do you feel more alive? I want to ask all of you, how do you all feel alive? Like in the morning, you get up, you feel alive, that you want to go out and embrace the world, that you want to make a lot of changes, that whatever is happening around you, flood or rain or earthquakes, you are not intimidated. You want to go and assist. You want to go and contribute because you have so much of this beautiful energy that is permeating in you, not occasionally during holidays or weekends, but almost perpetually all the time. Almost perpetually all the time. It is not imagined, but it is just there. And like everybody else, we have challenges almost every day, most of the time. But this perpetual force within you allows you to overcome and find a solution. And this is tapped in yoga. So from the physical, as you go to the mind, the intermediary is your breath, pranayama, an expansion of the prana. So the more we saturate our body and our mind with this prana, we are able to tackle almost anything. Isn't that fantastic? We are able to find a solution. What would you want to be known as? A person who is always complaining, always finding, some problems to talk about, or talking about world problems, these problems, so many problems. But where is your action towards finding a solution? In this practice called Kundalini KRIYA Yoga, which is after pranayama, it's considered a higher practice, we would be able to tap, awaken, ignite the potential of being able to, within ourselves, finding solutions. Problems and challenges won't just disappear. It will be there. But your way of looking at this so-called problems and challenges is like a scientist. How do I find a solution? And you would then be able to tap this great force inside, this creative force. What is creativity? Creativity is a way of finding something absolutely out of the box, and then you find the solution. Or maybe the solution itself so out of the box that society may not be able to understand what you are doing at the moment. Maybe it'll take about 5-6 years. It's okay. Or maybe like what Vivekananda and other great teachers did, that only after they were not around, people started to understand what they were doing. There's a reason why people like these are still being remembered and spoken about. But in this art of Kundalini Kriya Yoga, it is not so much of a kind of a spiritual art. That means it's not only that which moves you into spiritual path only, but it has a balance. Materially, you would be able to utilize this energy to find solutions. You would be able to heal the body, you would be able to rejuvenate the body, you would be able to keep the mind fresh, and you would be able to keep the mind exciting because it's a creative mind. What would you like to have in between these are the temples. In between is your brain. This brain must be something which is very pleasant, isn't it? It's something that you want to visit, you want to tap into. We look for people, we want to talk to people who are intelligent, who are intellectual, who are geniuses, who are prodigies, who are creative. But you are that. You are that. You have that capacity. It is, maybe you are already that. But for some it is lying dormant. Everybody, if you ask me, everybody is a genius, everybody is a prodigy, everyone has the capacity. It's just that there needs to be some kind of, a tuning and awakening and igniting. And Kriya gives that. This Kriya Yoga gives that. So in Kriya, you have the asana. A little bit of the some of the postures are incorporated, and some of the breathing is incorporated. And then we tap into vast resources of energy in the body called chakras. And these chakras are out of the world. There's something, these are things, these are, subject matter which we have never thought about. You can't even imagine. These practices you cannot imagine. You cannot sit there and imagine. It is an experience. It is an experience of some very high-powered individuals, very evolved individuals who have done this training over long periods of times, who have written about it, who have spoken about it, and their disciples have taken it. And then in the beginning of time, when this practices, I'm not talking about beginning of time, in the beginning of the time of this evolution of these practices, people were learning it through memorization. So the Shruti is word from the teacher, Smriti, remember, and then Sadhana is practice. Teacher teaches, I remember, and Sadhana I practice. Then after some time, I pass it to my students, Shruti, and then they remember, they practice Sadhana, practice. And over some centuries, then they started to write it. When there was availability of writing tools, they started to write, and they started to share these in diagrams, and then they started to share, and people started to look at it in picture form, and then they started to practice. But the teacher was always there, because to decode, to make them understand. So like this, the practices evolved, and currently this Kriya, which is a combination of some simple asanas and some quite sophisticated type of breathing practices, and with the chakra visualizations, chakra tapping the chakras. Chakras are energy centers that are found in very special zones in the body, and these zones are very close to the endocrine glands, the thyroid, the thymus, the pituitary, the pineal glands. They're very close, which means when we tap into these chakras, they are able to heal this component. They're able to heal and harness the power of the glands. The glands control the body, right? The chemistry of the body is controlled by the glands. The glands secrete hormones, and they are very essential for your health and vitality. And then they go to the spine. What is inside there? And they go to the brain. We will have chakras in the brain. We tap into them. We kind of like connect with them. There's a language which we learn, which is understood by this inner state. We have multi-dimensions. We not only have this physical dimension, but we also have a inner dimension, and these dimensions are 5: the physical dimension, the energy dimension, the mental dimension, the intuitive dimension, and the bliss dimension. We have 5 dimensions of living. In Kriya, in many ways, kind of like connect them. It connects them, and then you start to feel like a multi-dimensional being. You step out of the very, very small, narrow world of the physical into the larger, almost infinite world of energy and intuition and bliss. This is the journey of Kriya. So by tapping into this, we are able to harness the power of the micro electrical impulses that travel from the brain up and down the spine, and tap into the chemistry of the body through the endocrine glands. That means that the totality of the human body and mind and structure and internal organs are tapped, and then they start to evolve. What would be the outcome of that? For sure, good health, vitality, and the most elusive, something which is not in anybody's hand. Nobody has this. Very few individuals have this precious thing in their hand, the control and management of their own mind. People who are considered successful, who have PhDs, who are billionaires, who have, who are very good looking or whatever it is, very famous, they don't have them. They don't have this. That's the reason why you see some great catastrophe happening in their lives. Suddenly you see they have died or committed suicide or drug overdose. There's no control. But if you have this, then and you have that. I'm not saying you don't have that. You have all that material opulence, or you move towards that, plus you have your mind. Nobody can buy this. No one, no amount of money can buy this. Only through a systematic, consistent and persistent practice of self-development, not based on theory, but based on very concrete techniques like Kriya Yoga, like this Kundalini Kriya. Kundalini means the creative force. Kriya means action, of yoga. The yoga of activity which involves harnessing the power that is inherent in the creative force. Kundalini Kriya Yoga. And in this course, there are 20 techniques. And I would work very much with you. Very few teachers in the world teach this, hardly maybe 2 or 3 people as I know, and especially this is the advanced version. Most probably, arguably, maybe 1 or 2 people in this world still teach. So I'm very blessed. I feel very blessed to be one of them who has been teaching this for almost 23 years. I've been teaching Kriya for 23 years. And it has brought the greatest satisfaction in me, more than any other programs and courses and yoga, the types of yoga. This has brought the greatest benefit, the greatest happiness to me, because almost everyone, I say almost everyone, because in order to get the benefit, you must practice, right? Learning is one, but practicing is the other very important component. And when you start to practice, then you would be able to capture the essence, to feel such an elevated state of being. People talk about being perpetually happy. I don't say this is going to happen, but there would be a perpetual state of a soft joy that is permeating inside you, which means this becomes your center. The soft permeating joy becomes your center, and just like anything else, you would move out of it temporarily. You would move out of it, and then you come back to the center. You move out of it, and then you come back to the center. You come back to the center. Okay, then you kind of like bring yourself to a very clear understanding that, hey, I have something which is very unique, a perpetual sense of happiness, soft, nevertheless available. And science tells us that what is the greatest way of healing yourself is by having these happy hormones inside you. But not only that, this is too simplified an explanation. Something very vast and great can be tapped within ourselves. We talk about deeper levels of consciousness. You would be able to experience it. We talk about being conscious in the subconscious zone. And when you read this new psychology or pop psychology or self-development psychology, they always talk about there's great power in the power of the subconscious. Kriya Yoga is a playing for it. This subconscious is a playing field. You go and you can play there because you have the resources and the ability. People talk about that this untapped component of the unconscious. And it is seen that at delta levels, so vast potential, and it has not been explored. But through Kriya, do you know that you can stay aware and explore the potential of the vast territory of the subconscious and the unconscious? What you have now is something which is under-marketed, under-published, not spoken of, but has such great, tremendous potential as a practical art. And then in the world outside, you have over-marketed, over-spoken, over-published, talk about or marketing of some very simple, superficial kind of methods, which actually doesn't have a physical component, or just have some kind of simple hypnosis, kind of practice, or simple concentration practices, simple mindfulness practices. But Kriya Yoga is like the university, the PhD of the mind sciences. I hope that I have been able to share some of the information of Kriya. And we got about a few 3-4 minutes. If you have any questions, you can ask me. How do we know this Kundalini have been activated? Is Kundalini connected to chakra? Okay, for sure you would realize some great changes in your personality, in your mind. And if you don't notice, other people around you would be able to see the changes in you and ask you, how come there seems to be some very great changes. And the word they would use is great. It's not simple changes. It would be great changes that would come. It is a creative state. You become a bit more sober, a little bit more aware, more mindful, and very careful about just simply saying or doing things in a way, but it becomes spontaneous. Filled with anxiety, or should I do this? No, it's a very spontaneous kind of a way of behaving, because as what Dr. Krishnaveni is asking, chakra, yes, the seed, the base of the functioning of the Kundalini or the creative force are the variety or the various chakras. Each of the chakras interact with this creative force, and therefore in this practice, it is not an isolation of chakras and Kundalini. No, it's an integration of both to harness the power of both these great systems and to create a big change. What you need to have to qualify yourself for this session. Actually, everybody is eligible. Now, one of the things that we need to understand about yoga is that yoga, it doesn't discriminate anything from anyone. It's a very universally accepting science. Anyone who wants to learn yoga is supposed to be given. There is no criteria, there is no qualifications. As long as the teacher feels he or she is able to share this with someone, then it can be given. Can we feel? Yeah, yes, you can feel. Definitely, you can feel the changes and the experience. Can people misuse it like black magic? I'm not sure about this black magic and all that. Some people believe, some people don't believe. If you believe, then it seems to maybe affect you. If you don't believe, then you're oblivious to it, then nothing seems to be able to shake you. Okay, that is one matter. Misuse Kundalini? No, we cannot misuse Kundalini, because Kundalini is a creative force and you use it in a potential way. You cannot misuse it. But for example, if a person like Hitler, for example, Hitler or Idi Amin, or some of the notorious characters that we have seen in the past, or even currently right now, someone very notorious who comes and learns, fundamentally they have a flaw. They can use this creative force, of course, to be better in the things that they are doing bad, but also at the same time, over a period of time, they would eventually become transformed. In the beginning, The power is the power you can learn, and you can use the power for good and bad if the person is bad. But the transforming power of Kundalini is that eventually it makes the person good. Eventually they would start to reflect. No matter how bad they are, they would start to reflect. I'm using this power. I'm using my brain power now. This person who learns now becomes a greater criminal, more corrupted, more intelligent in manipulating whatever that they are doing. But over a period of time, as the Kundalini begins to go to the higher chakras, and as the Kundalini becomes much more concentrated in her power, then this person would definitely change to become a better person. They would drop that. I am so sure that they would drop whatever they are doing, the bad things, and reform. So just like how we teach yoga, when we teach yoga, we don't discriminate. We teach, and we see people change. Right? Something like that, but in a greater magnitude. When we are doing other kriyas, what would be the best cycle be? I mean, which do first and so on. So for example, if you're doing some other kriyas, you can continue to do any of your practices, any dharana, any sadhana, any mantra japa. You can do mindfulness. You can do that. And you can keep this particular kriya separate. You can do about 3 times a week. And in the beginning, it may take a slightly longer time, but as you practice, you become very efficient, and it will take about 20 minutes, 20 maximum 25 minutes or 20 minutes for you to practice. And you can practice like 3 times a week, and you can release that liberation of power, energy, and vitality, and a very good feeling in your mind. Your heart and your mind feels happy and cheerful. Isn't that something which all of us want? Okay, I think that's about it. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much for coming and attending this short talk. And I hope to see you soon. So thank you so much. Thank you, Kasuri, for arranging this. Thank you. Thank you. Namaskar.